Hey folks, tonight I want to do a quick desktop review on the FMS SuperEZ. This is it back here in the background. This is a new plane I ordered in from banggood.com. This is my first time to conduct business with them. Ordered the plane in. First off, the price on it was $139. That was delivered to the doors, no shipping. It took about probably 5 business days for it to come in, 4 or 5. So it's relatively quick. The boxing, unfortunately I don't have it any longer, but it was really kind of cheesy the way they shipped it. It was in the original, like a retail packaging with a black plastic bag wrapped around it, as opposed to other planes I've ordered from Motion RC, even Hobby King. It'll come in the retail box and then that's placed inside of another protective cardboard box. But this one was just a little lightweight, flimsy cardboard box. Now, I did get it in with no damage, but I think that's a testament to the shipping company as opposed to Banggood. They just got lucky, I guess. There was one little small cosmetic thing on the plane, which I'll show you in a minute, but it's really insignificant. So what do we got? This is, first I was looking for a nice easy trainer. I have an Apprentice S15, a great plane, but I put some lights on it and I think I put a little too many, so it kind of made it a little piggish to fly. So I was looking for something that I could get out there and really bang the sticks around, so hopefully this will be it. It's a top wing, tail dragging model, and there's not very many flight videos out on YouTube. There's only half a dozen or so that I saw. But it looks like it's flying very well. Handles the grass very good. So let's go ahead and get into it. Some of the specs on it. It's a 1220 millimeter wingspan, which is about 48 inches. 1020 millimeter in length, which is a little over 40 inches in length. All up weight on it is 31.4 ounces. Now that's before the battery, so I shouldn't say all up weight, but that's just the plane weight, 31.4. So it's pretty light plane. I'm kind of concerned that it won't be a great choice on a real breezy day. Maybe 4 or 5 mile per hour wind will be fine. Anything more than that is probably going to be a little precarious. This runs on a 4-channel radio, so there's no flaps on the aircraft. It has a pretty neat hold down for the wings. Instead of being rubber banded or bolt on or anything like that, just a couple of twist locks, and I'll show you those here in a second. It CGs out at about 60 millimeters. You can see here in the manual, right at about 60 millimeters from the leading edge. I find that to be spot on. It calls for a 1300 milliamp battery. I put a 2200 milliamp in it and it still CGs out right at the same spot with the battery shoved in there. It's a pretty tight fit. I don't think you're getting anything bigger than 2200, but 2200 should work fine. I'm guessing that 2200, based on the power ratings I pulled on the motor, it's probably going to get it a good 10 to 12 minutes of flight time. Now here's one thing that I wasn't keen on. Take a look at that propeller. Basically you've got the, hopefully this is in view, you've got the back plate that goes on the shaft, and the propeller, then the cover, and then the actual nose spinner twists on to hold it all down. And you can't really get a good grip on it, so I really feel like I'm not getting it tight enough. I guess you could try to get maybe a Rubbermaid thing to get jars off or something like that to get a little better grip on it, but it's pretty small, and so I just don't think it's getting a great good grip on it to tighten it. Build time on it was phenomenal. It really lives up to the name. The name of the plane is SuperEZ. Took about 15 minutes for the build up. There's really nothing to it. Had to bolt on the landing gear. 3 screws for that. The tail flat is 2 sections. It slides in through the vertical and a screw on each side, and put the propeller on, mount in your receiver, and you're good to go. So let me show you a couple of things on the plane. Let's see if I can get this over here in view. Alright, these little hold down anchors, see if I can get that to focus. It's got a little dog ear tooth on it. and that will drop right down into the back of the wing, and put it right down into the slot and give it a twist. Now it is a little tough to turn, but you can see there it is locked into place. So of course you got one on each side, and that's all there is to it. The front of the wing is held on by a couple little pins. It goes into the forward edge of the fuselage, and I'll show you that here when I pull the wing off. That part I love. I have it set up on the ailerons onto a Y harness, put an extension on my receiver. This way I've got a single wire that I connect in. I'm good to go. Put the wing on and you're up in the air in no time. So let me get this wing back off. Set this down for a second. Alright, on the wing, there's the little leading tips that goes into the forward point on the fuselage, and then again got the ailerons hooked up to a Y harness, and I do have an extension on it. Take a look right here. This was a heartbreaker. See if you can get that to focus. There's a little divot right here. When I first was getting set up to do this review, I set the wing down, and yep, you guessed it, it fell over and made a nice little ding on the toolbox I had down on the ground. So not even in the air and already getting hanger rash on it. So set the wing here to the side for a second. Let's take a look inside the fuselage. You got plenty of room in there for your receiver. If you wanted to put a stabilizer in there, you could. I really don't think it's going to be a need to it. It's a pretty lightweight plane. Take a look at this spinner. This is what I was talking about. It's pretty small. There's not a lot of room to hang on to it. I guess you could stick a makeshift tool into your two ports right here to cinch it down, but just wasn't real sure on that. Look at these wheels. Nice and big. Those are about 3-inch wheels. So I don't have a yardstick out here, Andy, but that's about where they look at. So it should handle the grass with no problem. One of the things that I'm not real keen on is it got 3 machine screws holding on the landing gear. I would really prefer that to have been nylon bolts. That way if you don't breeze in your landing and you come in a little wheels forward onto the ground, you'll shear off the nylon screws as opposed to destroying out your fuselage. Let's take a look at the battery bay. Again, this calls for a 1300 millimeter. 2200 will fit right in there. This ships with a Dean's connector. I pulled it off. I used the XT60. I just think they got a much better positive lockup on them. Not as subject to inadvertently get pulled out when you're slamming around if the battery's not tied down good. So pretty tight, but if 2200 does fit, no worries on that. On the tail section, this is what I was talking about. It's got a single screw on either side of the fuselage to hold the tail together. Now this is the one cosmetic flaw that was on the plane. If you look right here, there was what appears to be some marring on the paint surface. You can't really feel an indentation, so it's really more cosmetic in the paint. Not a big deal, but I prefer to put my own war marks onto the plane through usage, not through shipping damage or build out quality from the factory. So the plane overall, I think, will do very well. If you look out at the some of the flight videos, RC Reviewer has one out there. A couple other places have them up. They really do some great flights with it. It looks to be fairly maneuverable. Now I don't know if they were flying it stock or if they changed out the ESC and maybe they're flying 4S or something. I don't know. But the plane overall, I think, is going to do very well. From what I could gather, probably not a first plane. I would think it'd make a good second plane or maybe a third plane for sure, if you're wanting to practice your tail dragger landings and takeoffs. Tail dragger takeoffs is nothing to it. The landing though is a little trickier. Nose wants to tip over, especially on the grass, or at least that's been my experience. So this is the FMS SuperEZ. Ordered it in through banggood.com. Thanks for watching. Alright, got the FMS SuperEZ out here. This is the Maiden Flight on it, and just wanted to record the make ready on it. I set it up where there is a single, hopefully this is in view, set it up where there's a single wire coming through for the ailerons. Got these two little twist and turn wing hold downs. They're a little tough to turn. If you got arthritis, you might struggle with it a little bit. This calls for a 1300 millimeter battery. However, I am going to be running it on a little Turnigy Zippy 2200. When I was doing the flight prep on it, it fit in there fine. A little tight, but fit in there okay, and it also seemed to maintain the same CG that the manual had specified, so don't think there's going to be a big issue, we hope. We'll see here in a second though. It's a little tight, but now this came with a Dean's connector. Yesterday morning I came out here to fly it, and lo and behold, I left the adapter at home. So on this one, when I got it back home, I went in, took the Dean's off and soldered on the XT60. And let's see here, I've got this marked. And yeah, if anything, I would say it's right at the money. If it had the lighter battery in it, it may tend to be tail heavy. Alright, only one out here, got a control line guy. That's all. Wind's coming out of the south, about 6 miles an hour. This is a light plane, comes in at under 32 ounces total. So, we'll see how it's going to do. This is the Maiden Flight on it. Did a little tabletop review on it last night. There it is, FMS SuperEZ. For a maiden flight, it's very uneventful. Went very well. I am going to pause it here and go get my sunglasses though. Alright, I'm back. This is flight number 2. And let's just try and see how quick we can get this up real estate wise. Not bad, about 8 feet. Alright, let's yank this battery. Get a real quick reading on the voltage of it. So this way we can see how much flight time to expect with our handy dandy voltmeter reader. Alright, hopefully this is in view. And looks like we're getting 11.6, 3.86, 3.85, 3.87.